So designers, the color challenges, all of them will have the same basic process and challenge for you, simply a difference in which color palette you're going to be working with. In every case, your challenge is to provide visual evidence that you fully understand that particular color palette. So step one will be to go over to Adobe's color.adobe.com website, color.adobe.com, and log yourself in using your Adobe ID. You set that up in the previous quest. If you didn't set it up, you need to run back to that quest and do that, and then come back to this quest. Once you log in, you should have your icon up in the upper right here. You should see My Libraries. You should have a save and options over here. These all indicate that you are actually logged in. If you don't have those when you come to color.adobe.com, either you're not logged in or you don't have a login. In this case, we're talking about the monochromatic one. You'll pick whichever of the various different color palette styles that you want to work with. Monochromatic, in this case, is one which has the same exact hue and only varies in brightness and saturation. And you can adjust the colors so that you get whatever variation is interesting to you. If blue is coming up and you would prefer to have green, that's fine. Just drag it around. If you would prefer yellow, just drag it around wherever you need it. But you will only get one hue for the monochromatic palette. Now, depending on which palette you're working on, that's different. Everyone has a different variation of number of hues that are included in that palette, and you work within that. Once you have the palette selected that you like, and note that you can also come down here in the lower right corner here, you can come down and change this. Maybe you want to play with red, green, blue values. Hue, saturation, brightness seems to make sense, since those are the key characteristics that we've talked about so far. And you can adjust these sliders as well. I find this green to be rather neon-ish. I would prefer something that's not quite so bright and saturated. So I'm going to pull this down and have it be a much gentler, less saturated one. Similarly for this purple, I need something lighter and gentler, more pastel for my particular use. But the blue needs to be very intense, so I'm going to bring that up and brighten it up a bit. And that will be a good contrast color for the project I have in mind. Simply as an example. Once you have your color set selected, then you create a project that shows that color set and that you understand how to use that. If you aren't sure, you can look up all of these terms on Google and find out recommendations and discussions about how to use them. There's tons of information out there about using color palettes. If you have further questions about any of these, let me know. This video will be repeated on all of the quests, so when you've seen it once or twice and you understand it, you don't necessarily need to rewatch the video every time. Just go work with the palette that you've selected.